The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a warm, golden hue over the tranquil forest. It was a morning filled with soft bird song and the gentle rustling of leaves as a light breeze danced through the trees. The air was crisp and fresh, filled with the earthy scent of damp soil and pine needles. This peaceful forest, home to countless creatures, seemed like a scene from a dream, perfectly untouched and alive with the rhythms of nature. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more. And tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. As the rangers made their way along a narrow trail, they admired their surroundings. Tall trees stretched toward the sky, their branches stretching out like welcoming arms. Sunlight filtered through the green canopy above, creating patches of light that flickered on the forest floor. It was a sight that always filled the rangers' hearts with joy. After all, they had chosen this line of work because of their love for nature and its mysteries. Cooper, the head ranger, led his team deeper into the woods. He was known for his kind heart and deep respect for wildlife. "Keep your eyes open today," he advised the group. "You never know what we might discover." His fellow rangers nodded in agreement, energized by the adventure ahead. They were on a routine patrol to ensure everything in this beautiful sanctuary continued to thrive. As they walked, the rangers spotted deer grazing peacefully near a stream. Their soft brown coats blended harmoniously with the surroundings. Rabbits hopped playfully among ferns, while colorful birds flitted above them in search of breakfast. Each sighting sparked excitement among the rangers as they paused to observe these magnificent creatures in their natural habitat. "This is what makes our job worthwhile," Mia, one of the newer rangers, remarked with a smile as she snapped a few pictures for her scrapbook. But as they ventured further down the path, an unusual stillness enveloped the forest. The sounds of chirping birds faded away, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Curiosity piqued. Cooper signaled for everyone to slow down and listen. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. The others nodded solemnly. Something was off, but they couldn't quite put their fingers on it. Guided by instinct, they followed an unmarked trail that veered slightly off their regular path. Minutes passed as they moved cautiously through thick underbrush until suddenly they stumbled upon something unexpected. A giant tree sprawled across the ground. Its massive trunk lay at an angle, with branches broken and twisted as if nature itself had lost balance for a moment. The sight was stunning yet disheartening. Around this fallen giant stood a gathering of animals. Deer peeking out from behind bushes, squirrels perched nervously on nearby branches, and even birds circling above. Curiously, it was an unusual congregation that drew every ranger's attention immediately. "What is going on here?" Cooper wondered aloud as he took cautious steps forward to get a closer look at what had captivated all these animals. As they approached slowly, so not to startle anyone, they noticed how intently all these creatures were focused on something at the base of the tree. It was clear that there was more than just curiosity drawing them near. Something pulled at their instincts, and those instincts were often connected to survival. A wave of concern washed over Mia as she locked eyes with her fellow rangers. "It feels like something important is happening here," she said softly. "Like they're waiting for something." The beauty around them momentarily faded as questions began swirling through their minds. What had happened? Was any creature trapped? Were their young ones in danger? The rangers exchanged glances filled with worry, but also determination. They needed to find out what lay beneath this fallen giant. Moving quietly amid sticks and leaves crunching underfoot, they sensed that something deeper lingered beneath this scene of serene chaos. something that resonated with all who called this forest home. Surrounded by life, yet feeling unsettling dread building inside him, Cooper took one last glance at his team before making up his mind. They would investigate further and uncover whatever secret this fallen tree hid among its roots and shallows, no matter how heartbreaking it might turn out to be. With hearts both heavy and hopeful, they prepared themselves for what revelations awaited them just ahead in this enchanting yet enigmatic forest, a place where beauty and sorrow once again danced side by side within nature's grand tapestry. As the rangers continued along the winding path, the forest around them seemed to change. The sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves were replaced by an eerie silence that hung in the air like a heavy fog. The trees, once alive with chatter, stood still as if they too were holding their breath. Cooper exchanged glances with his team, sensing that something unusual was about to unfold. "Let's move quietly," he instructed, lowering his voice. "Pay attention to your surroundings." The group nodded, their excitement mingling with curiosity as they ventured deeper into the woods. Suddenly, beyond a thicket of brambles, something caught Cooper's eye. He held up a hand to signal everyone to stop. There, just ahead, was a massive tree lying on the ground, a giant of the forest that had succumbed to nature's unpredictable whims. Its trunk was thick and gnarled, with splintered branches reaching out like broken arms, grasping for the sky. The sight was both awe-inspiring and troubling. "What happened here?" Mia whispered, her eyes wide as she stared at the fallen giant. The rangers approached cautiously, each step crunching softly on the carpet of leaves that blanketed the ground. As they drew closer, they noticed a strange gathering happening around the tree. A cluster of animals, deer, rabbits, and even a few colorful songbirds, stood in close proximity to the base of the fallen trunk. It was an unusual sight. Animals rarely congregated in such numbers unless they sensed something significant. "Look at them," said Tom, one of the rangers who had been observing intently. "They're all focused on something down there." He pointed toward the base of the tree where clusters of animals gathered closely together. Cooper squinted, trying to make sense of what was drawing their attention. Through the gaps between branches and underbrush, he could see movement, a flicker of fur or a flutter of feathers. But it wasn't clear yet what lay beneath the enormous tree. "Stay back for a moment," Cooper said quietly. "We don't want to startle them." The rangers halted, watching in wonder as the animals remained eerily still, their eyes wide and alert. There was an unmistakable tension in the air, and it made Cooper's heart race with concern. As they stood there, mesmerized by the scene, each ranger began to feel a mix of emotions. The beauty of nature surrounding them contrasted sharply with this unsettling mystery. Why were these animals so captivated? What danger or revelation might lie hidden under that fallen giant? "Mia," Cooper said softly, "can you get a little closer? Just use your camera to take a few pictures from a distance." Mia nodded and crept forward slowly while keeping her movements gentle. She aimed her camera toward the gathering, capturing the image of deer peering curiously from behind ferns and rabbits sitting still, their ears perked up. In that moment, it struck Cooper how rare this sight was. Wild creatures instinctively drawn together in solidarity around something unknown. It felt like a scene from an ancient story or folklore, where nature would come alive with meaning. As Mia snapped pictures, she turned back to her fellow rangers with an expression that mirrored their own feelings of unease. "What do you think they're waiting for?" she asked quietly. "I'm not sure," Cooper replied, his brow furrowed in thought. but we need to find out. With renewed determination, Cooper led his team toward the tree. They moved slowly and deliberately, careful not to disturb the gathering or scare off the animals. As they got closer, they began to notice small details. Bits of scattered leaves and dirt piled up near the base of the trunk suggested that something had recently disturbed this area. "Keep your eyes peeled," Cooper urged as he knelt down to investigate further. Just then, one of the deer stepped forward cautiously, as if trying to communicate with them. Its large brown eyes seemed wise beyond its years, reflecting both fear and curiosity. The rangers shared knowing glances. They understood that this deer could sense something important was happening. Suddenly overwhelmed with emotion, Mia felt a knot forming in her stomach. She couldn't shake off the feeling that whatever lay beneath that fallen tree was significant, not just for the animals gathered, but for all life within this forest. Cooper stood up again, determination etched on his face. "We should check what's beneath that trunk," he finally declared. "Let's figure out what has brought all these creatures together." The rangers moved forward as one unit, hearts pounding with anticipation and trepidation, ready to uncover whatever secret awaited them beneath this extraordinary scene in their beloved forest. A sense that beauty could soon give way to sorrow hung heavy in the air as they prepared themselves for what lay ahead. As the rangers approached the fallen tree, they noticed the animals clustered around it with an intensity that was both captivating and concerning. The sight was a heartwarming yet poignant reminder of the interconnectedness of life in the forest. Each creature seemed to be aware of the weight of the moment, their instincts guiding them toward this gathering point. A group of deer stood closest to the base of the tree, their delicate frames perfectly still as they peered at something hidden in the shadows. One young fawn, noticeably smaller than the others, nuzzled against its mother, its big eyes wide with curiosity and a hint of fear. The mother deer remained vigilant, her ears twitching at every sound, as if she were trying to protect her young while also understanding that something was amiss. Nearby, a handful of rabbits hopped nervously among the ferns. Their fluffy tails bobbed up and down as they cautiously ventured closer to the fallen trunk. With noses twitching and ears perked high, they took turns peeking out from behind leaves, their small hearts racing as they sensed the tension in the air. One brave rabbit edged forward, only to stop suddenly when it noticed the stares from the larger animals, returning to its hiding spot with a quick flick of its tail. Above this congregation, colorful birds flitted anxiously from branch to branch, their vibrant feathers contrasting sharply against the muted browns and greens of the forest. A blue jay squawked loudly, as if trying to communicate something important to those below. Its sharp cries echoed through the stillness, urging the other birds to join in chorus. They chirped and fluttered nervously, but remained perched just out of reach, clearly unsure whether to dive down or stay away. The atmosphere around the fallen tree was charged with emotion. One ranger noted how the animals' behaviors reflected a shared understanding of something significant happening. It was not typical for such diverse creatures to gather like this. Usually, deer and rabbits kept their distance from each other, much less come together in such close proximity. Their instincts told them that whatever lay beneath the tree was important, perhaps even life-changing. Cooper observed this unusual behavior with both admiration and concern. "Look at them," he whispered to his team. "They're sensing something we can't see." His voice was filled with awe as he watched the young deer nuzzle its mother again, clearly seeking comfort amidst the uncertainty. Mia snapped a few more photos, capturing the vivid scene before her. "It's like they're all waiting for something," she said softly, her heart aching for these creatures that seemed so vulnerable, yet so united in their purpose. Tom crouched down closer to get a better view. They really do appear to be drawn together by some instinct, he added. You can see it in their eyes. They know there's something important here. As if on cue, one of the deer took a cautious step closer to the fallen trunk, its nose twitching as it sniffed the air. The other animals watched closely, holding their breath as if waiting for permission to move forward. The tension was palpable. Every creature seemed frozen in time, caught between their natural instincts and an unexplainable phenomenon. Suddenly, a rustle came from beneath the tree, causing all heads to turn sharply in unison. The birds took flight momentarily, scattering into the branches above before settling back down again. The deer stood even more alert now, their bodies tense as they prepared to either flee or fight, both instincts battling within them. Cooper felt a pang in his heart as he saw the raw fear mixed with hope in the eyes of these animals. He sensed that whatever lay beneath this fallen tree was not just another part of nature's cycle, but something that could touch all their lives, animal and human alike. Let's move a bit closer, Cooper said quietly but firmly. We need to see what's going on. With careful movements, the rangers edged nearer. As they stepped forward, they could hear the soft sounds of breathing from the animals surrounding them, a mix of anticipation and trepidation that mirrored how they felt inside. The gathering around the fallen tree was becoming more than just a chance observation. It felt like a collective moment of vulnerability shared among all living beings present. Cooper knew they had to uncover what drew these creatures together, driven by an undeniable urge to understand what significance lay beneath that gnarled trunk. A significance that might forever change how they viewed life in this remarkable forest. As they prepared themselves for whatever revelation awaited them under that massive tree, a profound sense of connection filled the air. A silent vow among creatures great and small to face whatever truth would soon emerge from beneath nature's embrace. As the rangers stood in a tight circle, observing the unusual gathering of animals around the fallen tree, curiosity began to bubble within them. Each ranger exchanged glances filled with both intrigue and concern. What could have happened to draw such a diverse group of creatures together? The atmosphere was thick with questions that begged for answers. Cooper, feeling the weight of the moment, took a deep breath and turned to his team. There's something significant here, and we need to find out what it is, he said, his voice steady yet laced with urgency. He could see that the rest of the rangers felt it too, a compelling urge to understand the situation that had unfolded before them. Mia snapped her camera again, trying to capture the emotions playing across the faces of the animals gathered near the tree. It's almost like they're waiting for something, she mused, her brow furrowed. It was true. The stillness of the moment felt charged with anticipation, as if nature itself held its breath. Tom crouched down, his eyes narrowing as he focused on the scene. Look at how they're all so aware of each other, he pointed out. It's not normal for deer and rabbits to be this close together without a hint of fear. His mind raced with possibilities. Could something dangerous be lurking nearby that had brought them all together in this unusual way? Perhaps they're sensing a threat, another ranger suggested softly, glancing nervously at the trees surrounding them. Or maybe there's something beneath that tree that needs their attention. The thought sent a ripple of concern through the group. If there was danger involved, they had to act quickly. Not just for their own safety, but for the well-being of these creatures who seemed to rely on each other and their instincts. Cooper took a step forward, his gaze fixed on the fallen trunk, contemplating every detail he could see from his position. The roots lay exposed, twisted and gnarled, suggesting that this tree had fallen recently. What lay beneath its massive weight? Was there a hidden nest, or perhaps an injured animal in need of help? The possibilities raced through his mind. "Let's not forget," he reminded them gently. "This is still a wild area. We must approach carefully." With caution guiding their movements, the rangers decided to split up slightly. Some would stay back to observe, while others edged closer to investigate. They moved slowly, aware of how easily they could startle both the animals and whatever lay beneath the enormous trunk. As they drew nearer, they could hear soft sounds, tiny whimpers or rustles, that resonated from beneath the tree. It sounded like something was moving down there. The curiosity within them ignited into a flame of urgency. Whatever was hidden below needed their attention. Mia felt a surge of determination as she steadied her camera for another shot. "Whatever it is, we're going to find out," she declared quietly, sharing her resolve with her fellow rangers. For Cooper, it became a personal mission. He wanted not only to uncover what was happening, but also to protect these innocent animals who seemed so reliant on one another in this crucial moment. His heart swelled with empathy as he thought about how fragile life could be in the wild. A beautiful yet harsh reality that required constant vigilance. Suddenly, one of the rabbits took a bold leap forward, its nose twitching frantically as it sniffed at the fallen branches nearby. The other animals watched in silence, their pelts shimmering in the dappled light filtering through leaves above. This shift in behavior only deepened Cooper's sense of urgency. Something was about to unfold. "Everyone stay alert," Cooper instructed as they continued onwards cautiously. "We have to be prepared for anything." The tension among them was palpable. Each ranger remained focused on their surroundings while also keeping an eye on the animals, aware that this was more than just curiosity. It was about understanding life and death in nature's delicate balance. As they neared the base of the tree, Cooper's heart pounded. He felt as if they were standing on the edge of a revelation that could change everything about how they viewed their roles as protectors of this forest. Would they discover something heartbreaking or perhaps even uplifting? There was no way to know until they fully uncovered what this gathering was all about. With each careful step toward the fallen trunk, their excitement mingled with anxiety, a potent mix that urged them onward into the unknown depths beneath nature's embrace. They were ready to confront whatever truth awaited them under that giant tree, a truth that might forever reshape their understanding of connection between all living beings in this wild and wondrous place they called home. With hearts pounding and minds racing, the rangers took a collective breath, preparing to move closer to the mysterious scene around the fallen tree. Cooper led the way, keeping his posture relaxed to avoid startling the animals gathered in a tense formation. He signaled for the others to follow his lead, using slow, deliberate movements that mirrored the very essence of patience they needed in this moment. The ground beneath their feet was soft and damp, covered in a thick layer of fallen leaves and moss. As they approached, Cooper leaned down to examine the ground closely, noting how the animals had created small paths through the underbrush with their cautious movements. "Look at how they navigate this area," he murmured, pointing out where deer tracks mingled with lighter impressions left by rabbits. The rangers nodded, feeling more connected to the forest as they observed these signs of life. As they neared the base of the tree, Mia raised her camera again, but kept it at her side for now. She wanted to capture as much as she could without causing a disturbance. "Just one more step," she whispered to herself, focusing on capturing not just images, but also the emotion radiating from both the animals and her fellow rangers. The deer stood motionless, as if frozen in time, their large eyes darting cautiously between one another and toward the approaching humans. The mother deer kept her body angled protectively toward her fawn, who remained close by her side, its small frame quivering slightly. This protective stance was a reminder of nature's instinctive behaviors, one that resonated deeply within Cooper and his team as they realized how vulnerable these creatures truly were. Tom crouched lower still, moving onto his knees so that he could get a better view without towering over them. Seeing them like this makes you realize how fragile their world is, he said softly. It's like we're intruding on something sacred. His voice was barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter this delicate moment. Cooper nodded in agreement. We need to be careful not only for ourselves, but for them too. He gestured subtly toward the gathering of animals. It was essential that they maintained an atmosphere that felt safe rather than threatening. As they edged even closer, they could hear soft, rustling sounds emanating from beneath the fallen trunk. A faint whimper or gentle scrape that seemed to resonate with urgency. Each ranger exchanged glances, filled with both anticipation and concern. Whatever lay beneath was clearly important enough for these animals to gather so closely together. Mia's heart raced as she caught sight of movement at the edge of her vision. A rabbit peeking out from behind a fern before darting back again into safety among its leafy cover. They seem on edge, but also curious, she observed quietly. Each animal had its own personality and instincts at play here, a microcosm of life swirling around a significant event. Cooper felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility wash over him. Not only did they have to uncover what lay beneath, but also understand how it affected all who inhabited this forest ecosystem. Let's keep our voices low and our movements slow, he reminded everyone once more, feeling their collective energy focused on uncovering whatever mystery awaited them. Finally positioned near where the tree had fallen across several roots, they could see shadows shifting beneath it more clearly now. Perhaps an animal in distress or something vital lost within nature's embrace. The gathering seemed almost expectant, as if waiting for something to break through from under that heavy canopy of wood and earth. Okay, Cooper said quietly, yet decisively, glancing back at his team with determination in his eyes. We're going to take one last careful look underneath. The rangers positioned themselves strategically around the trunk. Each moved slowly into place without making sudden movements that might send ripples through this fragile alliance among creatures great and small. As they peered into shadows cast by branches overhead, emotions surged within them, an intoxicating blend of hopefulness mixed with fear about what lay hidden away from view. They were stepping into uncharted territory, not only physically, but emotionally as well, with anticipation building around them like electricity in the air. There was no turning back now. They were poised inches away from uncovering truths about life and death within nature itself. Would it be heartwarming or heartbreaking? Only time would tell what secrets were waiting under that fallen tree. A secret significant enough to draw together so many creatures in unity at this pivotal moment in their lives. In those precious seconds before discovery arrived, everything felt suspended. A delicate balance between curiosity and caution hovering nervously above this enchanting yet enigmatic forest scene, where beauty danced hand in hand with sorrowful truths waiting just below surface level. As the rangers positioned themselves around the fallen tree, a heavy silence enveloped the clearing. The animals remained still, their wide eyes locked onto the shadows beneath the trunk, as if they, too, understood the gravity of what was about to unfold. Cooper took a deep breath, his heart racing with anticipation and concern. He could feel a collective energy in the air, an unspoken agreement among the creatures to wait for whatever revelation lay hidden beneath the massive tree. "Ready?" he asked softly, glancing at his team. They nodded, but their expressions betrayed a mix of hope and fear. Each ranger felt an intense responsibility to uncover the truth while also wanting to protect these vulnerable lives. With deliberate care, Cooper lowered himself onto one knee, peering into the gloom that lay beneath the tree's roots. Mia crouched beside him, her camera poised but forgotten in her hands. The faint sounds of rustling continued from below, adding to the tension that hung thick in the air. As their eyes adjusted to the dim light, they began to make out shapes nestled in the shadows, something small and fragile caught against the roots. Cooper's heart sank. It looked like a small bundle, and instinctively, he felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "Can you see it?" Tom whispered as he leaned closer. "Yes," Cooper replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "It looks like a nest." Mia leaned forward to get a better view, her heart racing. As she focused her gaze deeper into the shadows, she gasped softly. "Oh no," she breathed. "It's a baby bird." The tiny creature lay motionless among remnants of twigs and leaves that had once formed its safe haven. Its feathers were still fluffy and downy, not yet fully developed for flight. The sight was heartbreaking. It was clear that something had gone terribly wrong after the tree had fallen. Cooper felt a wave of sadness wash over him as he looked at the lifeless bird. "It must have been displaced when the tree fell," he murmured, glancing back at the other rangers who wore expressions of shock and sorrow. The sense of loss was palpable in their small circle. Mia carefully adjusted her camera to capture an image of the tiny bird, but hesitated as tears welled in her eyes. "What can we do?" she asked softly, feeling helpless in this devastating moment. Tom shook his head slowly, his voice heavy with emotion. "There's nothing we can do for it now," he said quietly. "But we need to think about how we can prevent this from happening again." Cooper nodded, a renewed determination sparking within him. "We'll need to assess other areas of the forest for similar dangers," he said firmly. "We have to ensure that wildlife habitats are protected from falling trees or any future hazards." The rangers shared solemn nods as they processed their feelings of grief intertwined with purpose. It was not just about this single baby bird. It represented a broader struggle for survival faced by all creatures living within this forest. Suddenly, there was movement among the gathering animals. A group of deer stepped forward cautiously, their eyes fixated on where the baby bird lay, hidden beneath the roots. The mother deer seemed particularly distressed. She approached slowly but stopped short, her instincts telling her that something was wrong. "It's like they know," Cooper murmured as he observed how the animals responded to the loss of life among them. Their behavior mirrored a deep understanding of nature's cycle, a poignant reminder that life could be both beautiful and tragic. Mia wiped her eyes with her sleeve, capturing another photo, not just of the bird, but also of the gathering animals united in their silent mourning. Each creature stood together in solidarity, recognizing that life could change in an instant. "We should keep moving," Cooper said gently after a moment of silence passed between them all. "We can't disturb them any further." With heavy hearts, they began to stand up slowly and step back from the fallen tree, giving both space and respect to this moment of loss. The rangers shared one last look at the tiny bird nestled beneath its roots before turning away, a silent promise that they would work harder to protect those who could not protect themselves. As they walked away from this heartbreaking discovery, each ranger carried with them not only sadness, but also a renewed commitment to safeguard their forest home and advocate for its precious inhabitants who faced uncertainties every day. In that moment, they realized that their role as rangers extended far beyond mere observation. It was about stewardship and compassion for every living being within nature's tapestry. An intricate balance where beauty often danced alongside sorrowful truths waiting to be acknowledged. As the rangers stepped back from the fallen tree, silence enveloped them like a heavy blanket. The sobering reality of their discovery, the tiny, lifeless bird, settled in each of their hearts, sparking a wave of grief that intensified with every passing second. Cooper looked around at his team, taking in their expressions, etched with sorrow and compassion. It was clear that the loss they had just witnessed affected them all deeply. Mia wiped away a stray tear with the back of her hand, her eyes glistening with unshed emotion. "I can't believe this happened," she said softly, her voice trembling. "It feels so unfair." The sentiment echoed through the air like a shared ache. Each ranger felt helpless as they thought about the fragility of life in the forest. A mere moment could change everything for its inhabitants. Tom, still crouched low with a pained expression, shook his head slowly. "It's like we're losing a part of this place. That little bird never even had a chance," he said quietly, his voice breaking slightly. His heart felt heavy with regret, knowing that nature's beauty often came with harsh realities that could be so hard to accept. Cooper placed a reassuring hand on Tom's shoulder. "We have to remember that this is part of nature's cycle," he replied gently, trying to ease the pain they all felt. "But it doesn't make it any easier to see." His own heart was pounding with sadness, wishing he could somehow alter the course of events that led to this moment. The rangers shared solemn nods, recognizing the truth in Cooper's words while grappling with their own feelings of sorrow. Each ranger carried the weight of compassion within them, a desire to protect the wildlife around them, yet feeling overwhelmed by the challenges they faced in doing so. "Do you think the other animals sensed what happened?" Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper as she glanced back at the gathering creatures. The deer stood still, their heads held high as if mourning alongside them. The rabbits peered out cautiously from their hiding spots, while birds flitted nervously above, creating an atmosphere thick with shared grief. "It seems like they do," Cooper observed. "They approach everything around here with instincts we might never fully understand." He marveled at how deeply intertwined life was in this forest, a reminder that even in their moments of loss, there existed an intricate web of connection between all living things. Mia took another deep breath, trying to collect herself. "We need to do something," she suggested earnestly, her heart swelling with a purpose. "We can't just walk away from here without thinking about how to prevent these tragedies from happening again." "Absolutely," Tom agreed as he stood up straight again, determination replacing the heaviness in his chest. "We've got to advocate for better protections for wildlife habitats. We can't let this happen again." The fire in his voice ignited a flicker of hope within the group, reminding them that they could channel their sorrow into action. Cooper felt grateful for their resolve. This moment wasn't just filled with loss, it provided an opportunity for the rangers to reaffirm their commitment to protecting the forest and its inhabitants. "Let's assess other areas around here and look for any hazards," he suggested firmly. "We'll take notes on what we find and report it." Mia nodded fiercely, feeling newly inspired. "And we can reach out to educate others about preserving wildlife habitats," she added excitedly. "If more people understand how delicate these ecosystems are, maybe they'll join us in our mission." As they spoke, a sense of solidarity formed among them, a bond forged through shared grief and a longing to stand up for those who could not voice their struggles. They were not just rangers, but guardians of this forest, They had a role that extended beyond observation into stewardship and unwavering advocacy for wildlife. With each passing moment, as they reflected on what they had encountered beneath the tree, their sorrow transformed into determination. Together, they would fight to ensure that such tragedies were not in vain, and that future generations of creatures would thrive within this sanctuary. As they prepared to leave the clearing behind, they cast one last glance at where life had once flickered brightly in that fragile nest. A silent promise to each other and to the life around them that they would continue to protect what remained and advocate fiercely for every living being sharing this beautiful yet precarious landscape. In that moment, the Rangers realized how interconnected life truly was. The dance between beauty and sorrow was not just an occurrence, but an integral part of what made nature so deeply profound. With hearts emboldened by both love and loss, they stepped forward together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in their quest for peace amidst nature's complexities. As the Rangers moved away from the fallen tree, their hearts still heavy with the weight of what they had discovered, a profound sense of reflection settled over them. Each ranger carried with them a deep awareness of how intertwined life and death were in the natural world. A cycle that played out continuously, often beyond human understanding. Cooper paused, turning to face his team. "This moment reminds us of how fragile life is," he said quietly, his voice filled with a mix of sorrow and reverence. That little bird may have lost its chance, but its existence was part of a much larger story. Mia nodded, wiping away lingering tears. "It's incredible to think that every creature has its role in this ecosystem," she responded, her mind racing with thoughts about the connections that bind all living things together. Even in death, this little bird teaches us something important about the cycle of nature. Tom glanced back at the tree, where the gathering of animals still stood in solemn silence. "They're all part of this, each one sensing the loss in their own way," he observed. "It makes me think about how nature has its own rhythms and patterns we sometimes overlook. We often focus on the beauty, but forget that it comes with moments like these." The group fell silent for a moment, letting their thoughts wander through the forest's complex web of life and death. They had witnessed firsthand how quickly things could change, how a thriving nest could become a tragic reminder within seconds. "Every time we see something beautiful," Mia added thoughtfully, "there's often an unseen struggle behind it. We can't take that for granted." She felt herself wrestling with emotions. It was hard to reconcile the joys of nature with its harsh realities. Cooper placed his hands on his hips, looking toward the horizon where trees stretched endlessly into the distance. "This isn't just about loss. It's about understanding our role as stewards of this land," he said, feeling determination well up inside him again. "We need to find ways to protect these habitats so that future generations can experience both the beauty and the lessons nature offers." Tom spoke up next, his determination shining through his sadness. "I think we should start an education program. We can teach people how to respect these ecosystems and help them understand that every part of nature is vital." His excitement was palpable as he envisioned workshops for local communities, ways to spread awareness about wildlife conservation and habitat protection. Mia agreed wholeheartedly. "If we share what we've learned through experiences like this, maybe we can inspire others to take action too," she replied passionately. "It's about changing perspectives and encouraging everyone to appreciate nature's balance." With newfound resolve lighting up their spirits, the Rangers began discussing plans to implement educational initiatives in nearby schools and community centers. They envisioned hands-on workshops where children could learn about wildlife habitat preservation directly in nature, fostering respect and compassion for all living beings. As they walked back through the forest, each ranger reflected on their personal connection to this cycle of life and death. They understood more than ever that they were not merely observers. They were participants in a grand narrative unfolding around them. A narrative rich with stories of survival, struggle, and interconnectedness. Even as they faced moments of sadness like the one they had just encountered, they recognized that their commitment to protecting wildlife could make a difference. By sharing their experiences and promoting conservation efforts, they hoped to inspire a collective responsibility toward nature, one that acknowledged both its beauty and its fragility. With each step deeper into the forest, they felt a renewed sense of purpose. The gentle rustle of leaves overhead seemed to whisper secrets of resilience. Stories of life continuing even after loss. The rangers recognized their duty to champion these stories, ensuring that every creature's role in this delicate ecosystem was honored. As they emerged from the serene canopy and into an open clearing, Cooper paused once more to take in the beauty surrounding him. The vibrant colors of wildflowers swaying gently in the breeze, sunlight filtering through branches above. It reminded him that amidst sorrow lay hope. There was always a chance for renewal. This forest will continue to thrive. We just need to help it along, he said confidently as his team gathered around him. In that moment, they knew their mission was far greater than just rangers patrolling a forest. It was about being guardians of life itself. They were ready to embrace their roles fully and ensure that every creature had a chance to flourish in the cycles of nature, both joyous and sorrowful, where beauty danced hand in hand with resilience. As the rangers continued their walk through the forest, a sense of purpose fueled their steps. Cooper led the team with a renewed determination, his mind buzzing with thoughts of how to help any surviving animals that might be affected by the fallen tree. The sight of the lifeless baby bird had stirred something deep within each of them, and they all felt compelled to take action. "Let's make a plan," Cooper said, breaking the silence that had settled over them. "We need to assess the area around this tree for any other creatures that may be at risk." He glanced at his teammates, noticing the fire in their eyes as they shared a common goal. Mia nodded enthusiastically. "We could set up a temporary shelter for any displaced animals," she suggested. "If we find any injured ones or nests that need help, we can at least provide a safe space for them while we figure out what to do next." Tom chimed in, excitement building as he spoke. "And we should also create a list of resources, like local wildlife rehabilitators or shelters, so we know where to take them for proper care if necessary." His heart raced at the thought of making a meaningful impact. It was more than just routine work now. It was about compassion and stewardship. Cooper felt encouraged by their enthusiasm. "That's a great idea. We can compile contacts for rehabilitation centers and ensure we have supplies on hand, like food and blankets, in case anything needs immediate assistance." As they gathered in a small circle amid the trees, each ranger began brainstorming ways to implement their plan effectively. Mia pulled out her notebook and began jotting down ideas as they spoke. "We should also consider organizing volunteer days where others can join us in monitoring animal populations and checking for hazards around the forest," she added, her pen moving quickly across the page. "The more eyes we have out there, the better." Tom agreed wholeheartedly. "Education is key. If we can get community members involved, it could lead to greater awareness about conservation efforts." He envisioned people coming together, families with children learning about wildlife habitats while actively participating in their preservation. "Let's not forget about prevention," Cooper interjected thoughtfully. We need to educate everyone on how to recognize signs of danger in wildlife habitats so that tragedies like this one become less frequent. The group fell silent for a moment as they considered the implications of their words. Every animal deserved protection from unforeseen circumstances. It was essential for them not only to react, but also to proactively safeguard these fragile ecosystems. With their plan taking shape, Cooper reminded everyone about the importance of maintaining respect toward wildlife during their efforts. As much as we want to help, we must remember that these animals are wild, he cautioned gently. Our goal is to assist them without imposing ourselves too heavily on their lives. Mia looked up from her notes and smiled warmly at her team members. I think we've got a solid foundation here. We can start gathering supplies right away and then head back out tomorrow morning to check on this area again. Agreed, Tom said, his spirits lifted by their collective resolve. Let's meet early tomorrow and see what we can accomplish. As they made plans and exchanged ideas, the camaraderie among them grew stronger, a bond forged not just by duty, but by shared compassion for every creature within this beautiful forest they called home. After finalizing details about supplies and resources needed for their mission, they began walking back toward their headquarters, motivated by hope rather than sorrow. Each ranger felt empowered knowing they would actively contribute to protecting wildlife and ensuring its continued survival. While traversing familiar paths beneath towering trees, Cooper reflected on how far they had come since tackling this incident together. The loss of life had ignited sparks of change within them all. They were ready to defend those who could not defend themselves, while fostering an environment where nature thrived. With renewed purpose guiding their steps through sunlight-dappled leaves above and soft earth beneath their feet, they envisioned brighter tomorrows, not only for themselves, but also for those fragile lives inhabiting this vibrant ecosystem. A place where beauty intertwined seamlessly with responsibility towards every living being. Together, as rangers committed to conservation efforts, they were prepared to face challenges ahead with open hearts, ready to embrace opportunities that would rise from adversity while helping nature flourish again in its delicate yet resilient dance between life and death within this wondrous realm surrounding them all. As the rangers returned to their headquarters, the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow across the forest. The vibrant colors of twilight filled the sky, providing a beautiful backdrop that reminded them of both the wonder and fragility of nature. Each ranger walked with a renewed sense of purpose, their hearts united by the desire to make a difference for the creatures they had encountered. Cooper felt a mix of emotions as he reflected on the day's events. The sight of the lifeless baby bird had sparked profound thoughts about life's delicate balance and how quickly it could change. In that moment, he understood that their work was not just a job, but a vital mission, one that required compassion, respect, and action. As he glanced at his teammates, he knew they all shared this understanding, each feeling compelled to carry on the legacy of protecting wildlife and empowering others to do the same. Today was tough, he said, breaking the silence. But I believe it can also serve as motivation for us. We must keep fighting for every creature in this forest. Mia looked up, her eyes shining with determination. Absolutely. We have to honor that little bird's life by ensuring that its story helps others understand the importance of our ecosystems. She felt a spark within her, an urge to make sure other animals could thrive and grow without fear. Tom chimed in with enthusiasm. We can be proactive. Each small effort can lead to bigger changes, he said confidently. Whether we're educating kids or organizing community cleanup efforts, it all adds up. The conversation sparked ideas among them about how best to reach their community. School workshops, volunteer days in the forest, and local events focused on wildlife preservation came to mind. Each idea resonated deeply within them as they imagined families gathering together to learn about their responsibility toward nature. Let's not only focus on our local community, Cooper suggested thoughtfully. We could collaborate with neighboring ranger stations or conservation groups too. By joining forces, we can create a larger movement. His vision of a network of passionate protectors made his heart race with anticipation. I love that idea, Mia exclaimed, feeling inspired at the prospect of expanding their impact beyond their immediate surroundings. Imagine if we could host events across multiple regions and share resources. We could spread awareness even further. The Rangers continued brainstorming plans late into the evening. Their animated discussions brought laughter and ideas flying in every direction. They envisioned educational programs filled with hands-on experiences in nature, the chance for children and adults alike to learn about local flora and fauna while actively participating in their conservation. As they plotted these new initiatives, each ranger felt a sense of responsibility blooming within them. A commitment not only to protect wildlife, but also to instill respect for nature in everyone they encountered. Once their plans took shape, Cooper gathered his team for a moment of reflection. This forest is our home, filled with stories that deserve to be told, he said passionately. Every time we step outside, we are granted an opportunity, not just to observe, but also to foster connection between people and wildlife. Mia nodded thoughtfully at his words. It's so easy to get lost in routine, she admitted softly. But experiences like today remind us that every creature matters, no matter how small. Exactly, Tom added earnestly. When we all advocate for animal welfare together and teach others about these connections, we create ripples of change. As night fell around them, they looked out over the forest bathed in silver moonlight, a reminder that beauty often exists alongside hardship. The stars twinkled above like diamonds scattered on black velvet. It felt both magical and humbling. Reflecting on their shared commitment to conservation made Cooper feel hopeful about what lay ahead. A future where both people and wildlife thrived together in harmony. Their hearts were now emboldened by purpose. They would ensure every voice was heard amid life's cycles, both joyous and tragic, and recognize each creature's role within nature's grand tapestry. In acknowledging this collective responsibility toward wildlife preservation, they committed themselves not only as rangers, but as guardians dedicated to fostering understanding between people and the wondrous world around them. Together, they would rise from moments of sorrow and embrace opportunities for renewal, determined always to nurture respect for all living beings, while encouraging others along this remarkable journey through nature's complexities. As they closed another chapter together under starry skies filled with endless possibilities, they resolved never to forget how interconnected everything truly was. An intricate dance between life and death, woven into every leaf, rustling softly in the breeze surrounding them all.